What if ancient civilizations possessed technology more advanced than ours? Not primitive tools, not simple machines, technology that threatens everything modern science claims to know. For decades, discoveries have been made that challenge accepted history. Artifacts that shouldn't exist, devices that defy explanation, evidence of capabilities that ancient peoples supposedly didn't have. These aren't theories. These are documented finds, examined by credible scientists, verified by multiple experts, then buried, classified, removed from public view. Why? Because they contradict the narrative of human progress. The story that says we're the most advanced civilization ever, that technology only moves forward, that ancient peoples were primitive compared to us. But the evidence tells a different story, one that mainstream science refuses to acknowledge. Today, we're examining 10 ancient technologies that threatened modern science. Each represents knowledge that challenges our understanding of history, capabilities that shouldn't have existed thousands of years ago. The discoveries are real. The suppression is documented. The implications are profound. Fair warning: this evidence contradicts everything you learned about ancient civilizations, about their limitations, about what they could and couldn't do. These 10 technologies prove they knew more than we thought, built more than we believed possible, and possessed knowledge that's been deliberately hidden. The pattern is clear. When ancient technology threatens modern assumptions, it disappears. When evidence challenges accepted timelines, it gets suppressed. But the artifacts remain. The documentation exists. The truth can't be completely erased. Let's examine what they've been hiding. Number 1. The Antikythera mechanism, discovered in 1900. Greek sponge divers found it in a shipwreck off the coast of Antikythera, a corroded lump of bronze and wood, hardly impressive. They brought it to the surface with other artifacts, pottery, statues, standard archaeological finds. The bronze mechanism sat forgotten in storage for 2 years. Then, someone noticed the gears. Intricate bronze gears, fitted together with remarkable precision. It was a machine, a complex calculating device, from approximately 100 BC. Here's the problem: nothing like it should have existed for another 1,000 years. When archaeologist Valerio Stias examined it in 1902, he recognized its significance immediately. This wasn't a simple device. It was sophisticated mechanical engineering. The mechanism contained at least 30 bronze gears, arranged in a complex system designed to calculate astronomical positions. It could predict eclipses, track planetary movements, calculate the phases of the moon, all mechanically. The level of precision was extraordinary. The gear teeth were perfectly formed, the ratios carefully calculated. The design showed advanced mathematical understanding. No similar device appears in historical records until the 1400s, over 14 centuries later. When scientists first published findings about the mechanism, the academic response was hostile. Ancient Greeks couldn't have built this. Must be a medieval artifact, misdated somehow. Except the dating was verified. Multiple methods, all confirmed. 1st century BC. For decades, the mechanism was dismissed, called an anomaly, a one-time achievement, not representative of ancient capabilities. But that explanation falls apart under examination. Building this device required sophisticated knowledge, understanding of gear ratios, precision manufacturing, advanced astronomy. You don't build something this complex without extensive prior development, without a tradition of mechanical engineering, without accumulated knowledge. Yet no other examples exist, no evidence of that tradition, no documentation of that knowledge. In 2006, advanced imaging revealed more details. The mechanism was even more sophisticated than believed. It tracked the 4-year cycle of ancient Olympic Games, calculated lunar anomalies, predicted eclipse colors. This level of capability shouldn't have existed, not for another millennium and a half. Modern scientists attempted to recreate it using ancient tools and techniques. The precision required was extraordinary. The knowledge needed was extensive. Some components still can't be fully explained. The manufacturing process remains unclear. How did they achieve that precision? The Antikythera mechanism proves ancient Greeks possessed technological knowledge far beyond what history claims. They built computers, mechanical calculators, precision instruments. Then that knowledge vanished. No continuation, no development, just disappearance. What happened to that technology? Why did it stop? And what else did they build that hasn't been found? The mechanism sits in a museum now, acknowledged but not explained, an embarrassment to established timelines. Ancient peoples, with advanced mechanical computers, 2,000 years ago, that's what the evidence shows. That's what modern science can't explain. But number 2 gets even more disturbing. What these ancient engineers accomplished challenges physics itself. Number 2. The Baalbek stone in Lebanon weighs over 1,600 tons. It's the largest hewn stone block in the world, cut from solid limestone, moved from a quarry, lifted into place. In ancient times, with technology that supposedly didn't exist, the stone forms part of the foundation of the Temple of Jupiter, built by Romans in the 1st century AD. Except Romans didn't cut these stones. They built on top of much older construction, stones already in place when they arrived. The massive blocks are called the trilithon. 3 stones, each weighing approximately 800 tons, fitted together with incredible precision. Modern engineering can barely move stones this size. It requires specialized equipment, massive cranes, custom transport systems. The largest crane today can lift about 20,000 tons, but moving 1,600 tons requires extraordinary planning, specialized equipment, modern technology. Ancient peoples supposedly used ropes and rollers, maybe copper tools, basic leverage. That explanation doesn't hold up. The physics don't work. The energy required is massive. The precision needed is extraordinary. The stones weren't just moved, they were lifted, positioned with millimeter accuracy, fitted so tightly a razor blade can't slip between them. How? Using what technology? Orthodox archaeology suggests thousands of workers, years of effort, Bronze Age tools, and determination. But experiments attempting to replicate this failed. Modern teams with accurate replicas using proposed ancient methods, they couldn't move stones even 1/10 this size. The energy requirements are staggering. Moving 1,600 tons requires overcoming enormous friction, generating massive force, maintaining precise control. One miscalculation and the stone shatters. Decades of work destroyed. Irreplaceable. Yet ancient engineers did this repeatedly. Multiple massive stones, positioned perfectly, without modern equipment. Alternative theories suggest advanced technology, devices not in the historical record, capabilities we don't understand. Mainstream science rejects this, calls it impossible, insists primitive methods must have worked. But the stones remain. Impossible to move with accepted ancient technology, yet moved and positioned with incredible precision. In 1996, archaeologists discovered something else. Tool marks on the quarry face, showing where the stones were cut. The cutting pattern was unusual, too precise, too regular, inconsistent with bronze or copper tools. Analysis suggested something else, some other cutting method, not documented in any historical record. When researchers tried to publish these findings, resistance was immediate. The implications were too disruptive. If ancient peoples had advanced cutting technology, what else did they have? The Baalbek stones prove ancient engineers possessed capabilities we don't understand, technology we can't replicate, knowledge that's been lost or hidden. Modern science has no explanation, just dismissal, insistence that primitive methods must have worked. But the evidence speaks for itself. 1,600 tons, moved, lifted, positioned perfectly, with technology that officially didn't exist. That's not theory. That's documented fact, proven by the stones themselves. What other technologies did ancient civilizations possess? What other capabilities have we dismissed? Number 3 shows ancient engineers working with electricity 2,000 years ago. Number 3. The Dendera Light, depicted in Egyptian temple reliefs. The Temple of Hathor at Dendera contains unusual carvings. Strange images that don't fit standard Egyptian iconography. They show large bulb-shaped objects, supported on pillars, with serpentine forms inside, attached to what appears to be cables, connected to box-like devices. Orthodox Egyptology interprets these as symbolic, mythological representations, lotus flowers and snakes. But electrical engineers who examined the reliefs saw something else. Technical diagrams showing electrical devices. The bulb shapes match Crookes tubes, early electrical discharge devices, invented in the 1800s. The serpentine forms inside represent the arc discharge, the glowing plasma visible in such tubes. The cables match electrical conductors. The boxes resemble power sources or transformers. Every element matches functional electrical components, not symbolically, technically. In 1998, a team of engineers built a working model based exactly on the Dendera reliefs. It worked, produced light through electrical discharge, using the configuration shown in ancient Egyptian carvings. The model required a power source, high-voltage electrical current, components that ancient Egyptians supposedly didn't have. Yet the reliefs show them clearly. In a temple built around 50 BC, how did ancient Egyptians know what electrical discharge looks like? How did they understand the components needed? Orthodox archaeology insists it's coincidence. The similarities are superficial, no real connection to electricity, but the technical accuracy is remarkable. The proportions are correct. The configuration is functional. The design works. Multiple reliefs show the same device, from different angles, in different contexts, all technically consistent. If these are symbolic representations, why are they so technically accurate? Why do they match functional electrical engineering? The Baghdad batteries prove ancient peoples understood basic electricity. Electrochemical cells existed 2,000 years ago, but the Dendera relief suggests something more, not just simple batteries. Sophisticated electrical devices, light sources requiring high voltage. The temple itself shows other anomalies. Underground chambers with no soot deposits, yet they're deep underground, without windows. How were they lit? Torchlight leaves soot. Oil lamps leave residue. But these chambers show nothing. The ceilings are pristine. Some researchers suggest electrical lighting, using devices like those shown in the reliefs. Mainstream archaeology rejects this completely. Ancient Egyptians didn't have electricity. Couldn't have. The technology didn't exist. But the reliefs remain, showing devices that match electrical engineering with technical accuracy that's difficult to dismiss. When engineers published their working model, academic response was hostile, accused of misinterpretation, called pseudoscience. Yet the model worked. Based entirely on ancient Egyptian depictions. Either the Egyptians knew about electrical discharge devices, or they accidentally drew technically accurate diagrams of technology they'd never seen. Which seems more likely? The Dendera light proves ancient Egyptians possessed knowledge of electricity, understanding of discharge phenomena, ability to create light without combustion, technology that threatens the narrative of linear progress. That challenges accepted history, so it gets dismissed, called symbolic, explained away. But the technical accuracy remains. The functional design exists. The working model proves the concept. Ancient electrical technology, hidden in plain sight on temple walls. Number 4 reveals ancient precision that modern manufacturing struggles to match. Number 4. The Dropa stones. Discovered in 1938, Professor Chipu Te led an archaeological expedition into the Bayan Kara Ula Mountains, remote region on the China-Tibet border. In a series of caves, they found something extraordinary. 716 stone discs, each about 12 inches in diameter. The discs had holes in their centers, like ancient records, but these were made of stone. What made them unusual was the groove. A spiral groove running from the center to the edge, cut with precision into the stone. The groove wasn't decorative. It contained something. Tiny markings, microscopic characters. When examined under magnification, the markings appeared to be writing, an unknown script, dense and regular. Professor Chi recognized their significance. These weren't decorative. They were informational. Data storage. Stone records created with extraordinary precision. The groove was too perfect, too regular, machined quality. The discs were dated to approximately 10,000 BC, 12,000 years old. Ancient peoples supposedly used simple stone tools at that time, basic survival, primitive capabilities. Yet these discs showed advanced manufacturing, precision cutting, data storage concepts. Qi sent the discs to Beijing for analysis, tried to decipher the script. The work took decades. In 1962, Professor Tsum Nui claimed a breakthrough. He'd translated portions of the text. His translation was bizarre. It described a spacecraft crash, visitors from another world, stranded on Earth 12,000 years ago. The academic establishment rejected this immediately. Ridiculous, impossible, mistranslation. Tsum Nui was ridiculed, his career destroyed. He died in Japan in 1965, exiled from Chinese academia. But the discs remained, physical objects with precise grooves and microscopic writing. Scientists who examined them noted the precision. The groove spiral was mathematically perfect, cut with accuracy that required sophisticated tools. The stone material was granite mixed with cobalt, unusual composition, not typical for the region. When tested, the discs showed strange properties. High concentrations of cobalt created unusual electrical conductivity. Some researchers tested the discs with oscillographs. The stones showed rhythmic vibrations, as if containing electrical charge. This makes no sense for 12,000-year-old stone discs, unless they were designed with specific properties. Engineered objects. Most of the discs disappeared, lost, or destroyed. Only a few remain. Access restricted. Attempts to study them face bureaucratic obstacles. Permission denied. Research discouraged. The Chinese government issued official statements. The discs are folklore, tourist fabrications, not authentic archaeological finds. Except Professor Qi's original expedition was documented. His reports exist. The discovery was real. Multiple scientists examined the discs before they disappeared. Multiple institutions verified their age and properties. The dismissal came later, after the implications became clear. If 12,000-year-old peoples possessed precision manufacturing, data storage concepts, engineered materials, what does that mean for accepted history, for the story of human development? The Dropa stones threatened that narrative, so they disappeared. Official archaeology claims they never existed, just myth and misunderstanding. But the documentation remains. The photographs exist. The scientific reports survive. 716 precision-engineered stone discs, containing microscopic writing, created 12,000 years ago. Technology that shouldn't have existed. Knowledge that challenges everything. So the evidence was buried. The discs removed from view. The truth suppressed. But the pattern is clear. Ancient precision. Modern suppression. Number 5 shows ancient metallurgy that modern science can't explain. Number 5. The Delhi iron pillar has stood for 1,600 years without rusting. Located in the Qutb complex in Delhi. A solid iron column, 7 meters tall, weighing over 6 tons. Forged around 400 AD, possibly earlier. The dating is disputed. What makes it remarkable isn't its age. It's the lack of rust. Iron oxidizes, corrodes, especially in humid climates. Delhi has monsoon seasons, heavy rainfall, high humidity, perfect conditions for rust. Yet the pillar shows minimal corrosion. A thin protective coating formed naturally, but the iron beneath remains intact. Modern iron would rust extensively under these conditions, within decades, sometimes years. This pillar has stood for 16 centuries, exposed to elements, still structurally sound. How? What technology did ancient metallurgists possess? Chemical analysis revealed the answer and created new questions. The iron contains high phosphorus content, about 1%, unusual for typical smelting. When exposed to moisture, this phosphorus forms a protective compound, a thin film that prevents deeper corrosion. But here's the problem. Creating this alloy requires precise control, specific smelting temperatures, exact phosphorus ratios. Too much phosphorus makes iron brittle. Too little provides no protection. The balance is critical. Modern metallurgy achieved this precision in the industrial age, with temperature controls, chemical analysis, scientific understanding. Ancient Indian smiths did it 1600 years ago. Without modern instruments, without chemical analysis capability, they produced 6 tons of uniform alloy, with consistent phosphorus content throughout. No weak spots, no variations. That level of metallurgical control shouldn't have existed, not with ancient technology, not without scientific instrumentation. Yet the pillar exists. Proof of capabilities historians claim ancient peoples didn't have. More remarkable is the forging process. The pillar was made from multiple pieces, forge welded together. Joining iron pieces requires extreme heat, precise hammering, perfect alignment. Modern blacksmiths find this challenging with small pieces. Ancient smiths did it with pieces totaling 6 tons, created a seamless column. No weak points, no failures. The pillar also contains an inscription, Sanskrit text, dedicated to the Hindu god Vishnu. The inscription is politically incorrect for modern academia. It mentions advanced knowledge, divine inspiration, capabilities beyond mortal skill. Orthodox history dismisses this as religious mythology, poetic exaggeration. But what if it's literal? What if ancient metallurgists did possess advanced knowledge? Knowledge that's been lost or hidden. In 2003, the Indian government restricted access to the pillar, prevented close examination, discouraged new research. Official explanation? Preservation concerns. Too many tourists touching it. But tourists had touched it for decades, centuries. Why restrict access now? Perhaps because modern metallurgical analysis was getting too precise, revealing too much about ancient capabilities. The Delhi iron pillar proves ancient Indians possessed sophisticated metallurgy, understanding of alloy chemistry, manufacturing precision that rivals modern industry, technology that threatens the narrative of progressive development, the story that ancient peoples were primitive. So research gets discouraged, access gets restricted, new analysis gets prevented. But the pillar stands, undeniable proof, 1600 years without rust, using technology that modern science struggles to explain. The evidence speaks for itself. Ancient knowledge, advanced capabilities, lost or suppressed. Number 6 reveals ancient surgery that rivals modern medical practice. Number 6. Ancient trepanation with 90% survival rates. Trepanation is skull surgery, cutting holes in the skull, relieving pressure, accessing the brain. It's extremely dangerous. High risk of infection, severe blood loss, brain damage. Modern medicine developed safe trepanation in the 20th century, with anesthesia, antibiotics, sterile procedures. Ancient peoples performed it successfully 3,000 years ago, in Peru, in Europe, throughout the ancient world. Skulls show clear evidence, clean cuts, bone healing, survival, not just survival, recovery. Many patients lived years after surgery. The bone shows extensive healing. In 1967, researchers examined hundreds of ancient Peruvian skulls, evidence of trepanation procedures. The survival rate was astonishing, over 90% in some regions, higher than early modern surgical success rates. How? Without anesthesia, without antibiotics, without sterile operating rooms. Ancient surgeons somehow prevented infection, controlled bleeding, avoided brain damage, achieved remarkable success. The surgical technique was sophisticated, clean cuts, precise removal of bone sections, minimal trauma to surrounding tissue. Tools were primitive by modern standards. Stone scrapers, bronze knives, basic instruments. Yet the results rival modern surgery. In some cases exceeded. Modern neurosurgeons examined these skulls, noted the precision, the surgical skill, the understanding of anatomy. These weren't crude attempts. These were professional procedures, performed by skilled practitioners with extensive knowledge. Some skulls show multiple surgeries, patients surviving several procedures, healing between operations. That requires exceptional surgical knowledge, understanding of recovery, ability to prevent complications. The ancient Peruvian culture that performed these surgeries left no written medical texts, no documented surgical techniques, no explanation of their methods. Just the evidence in bone. Hundreds of successful procedures, remarkable survival rates. Orthodox medicine struggles to explain this, attributes it to luck, claims patients had strong immune systems, dismisses the achievement. But 90% survival isn't luck. That's skill, knowledge, technique. Modern surgeons in the 1800s achieved much lower success rates with metal tools, with basic antiseptics, with scientific training. Ancient Peruvian surgeons exceeded those results. 3,000 years earlier, that suggests medical knowledge far beyond what history acknowledges. Techniques lost to time. Understanding that hasn't been preserved. Some researchers propose they used plant-based antibiotics, natural antiseptics. The Amazon contains compounds modern medicine is just discovering. If ancient peoples identified and used these compounds, that represents sophisticated pharmacology, chemical knowledge, medical understanding. But no evidence of this knowledge survived. No texts, no records, just successful surgeries. In 1998, attempts to document this achievement faced resistance. Medical journals refused publication, called the findings exaggerated. The skulls remain in storage, available for examination, but discouraged from mainstream study. Why? Because they challenge accepted medical history, threaten the narrative of modern superiority. If ancient peoples performed brain surgery with better success rates than early modern doctors, what does that say about progress? The evidence is undeniable. Hundreds of skulls, clear surgical marks, extensive healing, ancient trepanation with 90% survival, using primitive tools without modern medicine. That's not primitive, that's advanced. Knowledge we've lost, capability we struggle to explain. Number 7 shows ancient acoustic technology that modern engineers can't reproduce. Number 7. The hypogeum of Al-Saflieni resonates at 110 Hz exactly. This underground temple in Malta was carved from solid limestone around 3000 BC. 5,000 years ago, it descends 3 levels into bedrock, chambers and passages carved with precision. One chamber is special, called the oracle room. It has unusual acoustic properties. A voice speaking in this chamber resonates throughout the structure, amplified naturally, enhanced by the architecture, but not all frequencies, just one specific frequency, 110 Hz. That frequency is amplified dramatically, enhanced by the chamber's shape, transmitted through the entire complex. Other frequencies barely carry. Normal speech is dampened, but 110 Hz resonates powerfully. This isn't accidental. The chamber was carved specifically to achieve this effect. The dimensions calculated, the shape designed. Modern acoustic engineers examined the hypogeum in 1997, tested its properties, measured the resonance. Their conclusion? Ancient builders possessed sophisticated understanding of acoustics, mathematical knowledge, engineering, precision. Creating a chamber that resonates at a specific frequency requires exact dimensions, precise angles, calculated curves. The margin for error is tiny. Small variations would change the resonant frequency or eliminate the effect entirely. Ancient builders achieved this with stone tools. No acoustic testing equipment, no way to measure frequency precisely. Yet they created a space that resonates at exactly 110 Hz throughout all three levels. Why this frequency? Research suggests it affects human consciousness, alters brain activity, creates specific mental states. Studies show 110 Hz reduces language center activity, enhances emotion and creativity, induces trance-like states. Ancient peoples somehow knew this, designed spaces to produce this frequency, used it for rituals or ceremonies. That knowledge requires understanding of neuroscience, acoustic physics, architectural engineering. 5,000 years ago, in a culture that supposedly lacked scientific knowledge, modern attempts to replicate this effect have failed. Engineers with computer modeling, acoustic analysis, precise instruments, they can't recreate what ancient Maltese builders achieved with stone tools. The hypogeum proves ancient peoples possessed advanced acoustic understanding, mathematical precision, engineering capabilities that rival modern practice. When this research was published, mainstream archaeology dismissed it, called it coincidence, claimed the resonance was accidental. But acoustic engineers disagree. The precision is too exact, the effect too consistent, the design too deliberate. This was intentional engineering, calculated acoustic design, advanced knowledge. Access to the hypogeum is now restricted. Limited visitors, controlled environment, preservation concerns cited. But perhaps also to limit research, prevent detailed analysis, discourage uncomfortable questions. Because if ancient peoples designed acoustic spaces this precisely, what else did they understand? What other knowledge have we lost or dismissed? What other capabilities remain hidden? The hypogeum stands as proof. Ancient acoustic engineering, precise frequency control, knowledge that modern science can't explain. 5,000 years old, still functioning perfectly, still resonating at exactly 110 Hz. Technology that shouldn't exist. Knowledge that threatens established narratives. Number 8 reveals ancient astronomical knowledge that required advanced mathematics. Number 8. The Mayan calendar calculated solar years to incredible precision. The ancient Maya measured the solar year at 365.2420 days. Modern astronomy calculates it at 365.2422 days. The difference? 2/10,000ths of a day, 0.0002 days, about 17 seconds per year. The Maya calculated this without telescopes, without atomic clocks, without modern instruments, using naked eye observations, stone buildings, mathematical calculations. Their precision rivals modern science. In some aspects exceeds it. How? What techniques did they possess? The Mayan calendar system was incredibly complex. Multiple calendars running simultaneously. Long count. Hab. Tzolk'in. They tracked Venus with remarkable accuracy, predicted its position centuries in advance, with minimal error. Their Venus calendar showed the synodic period as 584 days. Modern calculation? 583.92 days. Error of 0.08 days over nearly 2 years. Barely noticeable difference. Ancient Maya achieved this precision through centuries of observation, generational record-keeping, mathematical refinement. But the mathematics required are sophisticated. Calculating precise astronomical periods needs algebra, fractional arithmetic, advanced computation. The Maya possessed all of this. Developed mathematical concepts independently, including the concept of zero. They used zero in calculations centuries before it appeared in Europe. Their number system was sophisticated, base 20 notation, positional value, but their astronomical precision suggests something more. Knowledge beyond simple observation. Some researchers propose the Maya had optical devices, primitive telescopes, water-based magnification. No physical evidence exists, but the precision they achieved suggests enhanced observation, tools beyond naked eye. Or they inherited knowledge from an earlier civilization, information passed down through generations. The calendar itself suggests this. Its origin date is August 11th, 3114 BC, over 5,000 years ago. The Maya didn't exist as a civilization that early. So why that date? What event does it commemorate? Orthodox archaeology calls it mythological, creation date in Mayan cosmology, not historical. But what if it marks something real? An astronomical event, or the transfer of knowledge from an earlier culture? The Mayan calendar system was fully developed when first recorded. No evidence of development, no gradual refinement. It appeared complete, sophisticated, precise, as if inherited rather than invented. When Spanish conquistadors encountered Mayan astronomical knowledge, they were shocked, called it devil's work, destroyed codices, burned records. Thousands of Mayan books destroyed. Only 4 codices survived. Fragments of vast knowledge. What astronomical understanding was lost? What other precision calculations disappeared? The Catholic Church saw Mayan astronomy as threat, too accurate, too sophisticated, challenging European supremacy. So they burned it, destroyed evidence, suppressed knowledge. The surviving codices show incredible sophistication. Eclipse tables, planetary positions, mathematical calculations. Modern archaeoastronomers study these fragments, recognize advanced understanding, precise observation, sophisticated mathematics. But the full extent of Mayan astronomical knowledge remains unknown. Most was deliberately destroyed. The calendar precision proves ancient Maya possessed scientific capabilities that challenge historical narratives. They weren't primitive. They were sophisticated astronomers, mathematicians, engineers. Their knowledge threatened European assumptions. So it was suppressed, destroyed, lost. But the calendar remains. Carved in stone, precise to seconds per year. Ancient technology, advanced knowledge, evidence that can't be erased. Number 9 shows ancient engineering that modern construction can't explain. Number 9. Pumapunku in Bolivia features precision stonework with tolerances under 1 millimeter. This ancient site sits at 13,000 feet elevation, high altiplano plateau, harsh conditions. The stone blocks show machining precision, flat surfaces, perfect right angles, uniform depths, tolerances measured at 0.5 millimeters, half a millimeter, across blocks, weighing over 100 tons. Modern machine shops struggle to achieve this precision. With computer-controlled equipment, in controlled environments, ancient engineers achieved it on a wind-swept plateau, in thin air, using supposedly primitive tools. The blocks are andesite, extremely hard volcanic rock, difficult to work, requires specialized tools. Some blocks show complex angles, interlocking geometric patterns, designed to fit together precisely. No mortar, no adhesive, just stone fitted to stone, with gaps too small to slip paper through. The complexity is extraordinary. H-shaped blocks, step-like cuts, grooves and channels with parallel sides. Creating these features requires precision cutting, exact measurements, sophisticated tools. Orthodox archaeology claims copper tools and stone hammers, patience and persistence. But copper can't cut andesite effectively. Stone hammers leave marks, rough surfaces, irregular cuts. The Pumapunku blocks show none of this. Surfaces are smooth, cuts are clean, angles are perfect. Some blocks show what appear to be drill holes, perfectly circular, uniform depth, smooth sides. These aren't percussion marks. These are precisely drilled holes, requiring rotary tools. Ancient peoples supposedly didn't have drills, not for stone, not with this precision, yet the evidence exists. Drilled holes, machined surfaces, precision tolerances. In 2005, engineers analyzed the blocks, used laser measurement, computer modeling. Their conclusion? The precision requires machine tools, computer-controlled cutting, modern manufacturing techniques, or ancient techniques we don't understand, technology not in the historical record. The site shows other anomalies. Transport problems. The stones came from quarries 10 miles away. Moving 100-ton blocks 10 miles over rough terrain requires massive effort, specialized equipment, engineering knowledge. No evidence exists of how this was accomplished. No ramps, no roads, no transport infrastructure. The blocks simply appear at the site, precisely cut, perfectly fitted, impossibly precise. Carbon dating of organic material suggests the site was built around 550 AD, possibly earlier. The Tiwanaku civilization that built it left no written records, no explanation of techniques, no documentation of methods, just the stones, proving capabilities historians claim didn't exist. When engineers published their precision measurements, academic response was dismissive, claimed ancient techniques could achieve this with enough time. But experimental archaeology proved otherwise. Attempts to replicate the precision failed, even with modern tools. The tolerance is too tight, the surface is too flat, the angles too perfect. This isn't achievable with copper and stone, not consistently, not across hundreds of blocks. Pumapunku proves ancient engineers possessed advanced stoneworking technology, precision cutting tools, measurement instruments, manufacturing knowledge, technology that threatens the narrative of primitive ancient peoples, capabilities that suggest lost knowledge. So the evidence gets minimized, the precision dismissed, the implications ignored. But the stones remain, measurable proof, physical evidence, ancient engineering that modern techniques can't reproduce, precision that modern tools struggle to match, technology that shouldn't exist, knowledge that's been lost or hidden. Number 10 reveals the most disturbing truth: ancient nuclear technology. Number 10. Ancient nuclear war evidence found in India and Pakistan. In areas of northern India and Pakistan, archaeologists found strange anomalies. Ancient city ruins with unusual characteristics. Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, other Indus Valley sites, dating to approximately 2000 BC or earlier. Some areas show vitrification, rock melted and fused, glass-like surfaces created by extreme heat, temperatures exceeding 1,500 degrees Celsius, sustained, uniform. That temperature exceeds anything achievable with ancient technology. Bronze Age furnaces reached 900 degrees maximum. What created heat intense enough to melt rock, to fuse sand into glass? In 1944, engineer J. Robert Oppenheimer supervised the first atomic bomb test, Trinity Site, in New Mexico. The explosion created glass. Desert sand melted and fused, green glass covering the test area. When Oppenheimer saw ancient Indian texts describing powerful weapons, he recognized the descriptions. They matched nuclear explosions. The Mahabharata describes weapons that sound like atomic bombs. Bright light, massive explosions, devastating effects. Cities destroyed instantly, bodies burned beyond recognition, water boiling, lands becoming radioactive. Oppenheimer quoted the Bhagavad Gita at Trinity. "Now I am become death, destroyer of worlds." He recognized the connection. Ancient texts describing nuclear weapons, modern science recreating them. At Mohenjo-daro, excavations found disturbing evidence: scattered skeletons, lying in streets, positions suggesting sudden death, no signs of combat, no weapons, no defensive postures, just instant death. The skeletons show elevated radiation levels, 50 times normal background radiation. 4,000 years later, what event could cause this? What weapon could produce these effects? The ancient texts describe a single projectile charged with all the power of the universe. When detonated, it produced an incandescent column of smoke and flame bright as 10,000 suns. The description continues. Heat so intense it made water boil. The earth shook. Armies consumed by flames. Survivors losing hair and nails. These symptoms match radiation poisoning. The effects match nuclear weapons. Orthodox archaeology dismisses this as mythology, poetic exaggeration, ancient imagination. but the physical evidence suggests otherwise. Vitrified rock, radioactive skeletons, instant death. In 1992, a researcher named David Davenport investigated, found radioactive ash, glass formations, evidence of extreme heat. His findings were published, then immediately attacked, called pseudoscience, dismissed without examination, but independent testing confirmed elevated radiation, unusual isotopes, glass formations, consistent with extreme temperature. The evidence points to nuclear weapons, or something similar, technology producing nuclear-level effects. 4,000 years ago, in ancient India, that challenges everything. Suggests advanced civilization with devastating technology, possibly destroyed themselves. The ancient texts mention a war, fought with terrible weapons, ending in catastrophic destruction, perhaps myth, or perhaps history. The ruins suggest the latter. Cities abandoned suddenly, no gradual decline, instant devastation. Bodies left where they fell, infrastructure intact but empty, as if population vanished instantly. That pattern matches nuclear attack. Sudden, devastating, leaving structures but eliminating people. Modern science refuses to consider this possibility. Ancient nuclear weapons are impossible. Technology didn't exist, but the evidence remains. Glass formed by extreme heat, radioactive remains, instant death patterns. Either ancient civilizations possessed nuclear technology, or something equally devastating, technology that was lost or suppressed, knowledge that threatens modern assumptions. The implication is profound. Advanced ancient civilization, sophisticated enough for nuclear weapons, then destroyed. Knowledge lost. Evidence buried, until excavations revealed the truth. The glass, the radiation, the scattered dead. Ancient nuclear war, not myth. Evidence suggests reality. That's what the artifacts show. That's what science refuses to acknowledge. But the proof exists. In melted rock, in radioactive skeletons, in ancient texts describing nuclear effects, technology that threatened modern science. So the evidence gets suppressed. But it can't be completely erased. The ruins remain. The radiation persists. The truth emerges. 10 ancient technologies. 10 examples of capabilities that shouldn't have existed, from Greek computers to nuclear weapons, from precision machining to electrical devices, from acoustic engineering to astronomical precision. Each challenges accepted history. Each threatens the narrative of progressive development. The Antikythera mechanism proved ancient Greeks built computers. Puma Punku showed machining precision we can't reproduce. Mohenjo-Daro suggested nuclear devastation 4,000 years ago. The pattern is undeniable. Ancient civilizations possessed sophisticated technology, knowledge that rivals or exceeds modern capabilities. Then that knowledge disappeared, lost, suppressed, erased from history. Not gradually, suddenly, as if deliberately destroyed. The evidence survives in fragments. Artifacts that couldn't be completely hidden, ruins that prove advanced capabilities, but mainstream science refuses to acknowledge them, dismisses the evidence, calls it impossible. Why? Because accepting these technologies requires rewriting history, admitting ancient peoples were more advanced than believed. That threatens academic careers, overturns established narratives, challenges institutional authority. So the evidence gets buried, researchers discouraged, findings suppressed, but the artifacts remain. Physical proof, undeniable evidence. Ancient engineers built computers, worked with electricity, achieved nuclear-level destruction. They possessed knowledge we're only rediscovering. Technology we struggle to explain. What happened to that civilization? Why did the knowledge disappear? Perhaps catastrophe. Self-destruction through advanced weapons. The Mohenjo-Daro evidence suggests this, perhaps deliberate suppression, knowledge deemed too dangerous, intentionally hidden, or perhaps cyclical. Civilizations rise and fall, knowledge gained and lost, repeatedly through history. The evidence examined today suggests all of this: ancient advancement, catastrophic fall, systematic suppression of proof. Modern science stands at a crossroads. Continue denying evidence or accept uncomfortable truths. The technologies existed, the artifacts prove it, the suppression is documented. What you believe is your choice. The evidence has been presented, the patterns revealed. Ancient peoples weren't primitive, they were sophisticated, advanced, knowledgeable. Some of their technology exceeded ours, some of their knowledge we've lost. That's not theory, that's evidence. Physical, measurable, real. The truth has been hidden, but it can't be erased completely. These 10 technologies represent persistence, proof that survived suppression, evidence that refused to disappear. They challenge everything taught about ancient civilizations, about human progress, about our place in history. Perhaps we're not the pinnacle of development. Perhaps we're rediscovering what was known before. Perhaps ancient warnings about devastating weapons were based on experience, hard-earned knowledge of destructive capability, knowledge we're gaining again, technology we're rebuilding. The question isn't whether ancient civilizations had advanced technology. The evidence proves they did. The question is what happened to that knowledge, and whether we'll repeat their mistakes. Stay curious. Question accepted narratives. Examine evidence for yourself. Ancient technology existed. The artifacts prove it. What else have we been told that isn't true?